Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the much awaited vaccine day. So finally, one person at least on the planet has the coronavirus vaccine. Margaret over in the UK, if you saw the headline, I'm sure. So at least we are now finally on a path to getting everybody the vaccine. So there's much speculation on whether it's going to take a year. Kramer was just talking about all of this, making a by the second quarter here in the US that this going to be, we're through the first responders and the military at that point. So there's a lot of optimism in the air with the vaccine. So hopefully the rollout in the UK followed quickly by the vaccine summit that Trump's having today to get some emergency authorizations in place are all good things. And we can kind of focus on getting past this. So we'll talk about some of the investing names behind the vaccine day theme for today. And we're also going to talk about several things that are in motion in the market itself. All right, if you're catching us on replay, make sure you subscribe so you get notifications. You can catch us on a daily basis. If you want to join the room live, have some folks here that interact through a chat room and a Q&A window to ask questions of me, and I'm yours for basically 35 minutes to answer whatever you want. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. Make sure you have both windows open and encourage you to use a call sign for your communications, and make sure you have panelists and attendees selected so everybody can see when you have something to add. As far as the disclaimer, this is a financial education presentation, so you have to do your own due diligence before you act upon anything you hear in this presentation. Full disclaimers available at ototnow.com. All right, welcome to Tuesday, December 8th, vaccine day. Like we talked about in the open, Margaret, 90-year-old from UK, was the first one to get the vaccine. Very exciting stuff. Hopefully that's a success story, here in the next couple of days. We certainly don't want any bad news out of the UK vaccine rollout. And that we have, the vaccine summit here in the US that Trump's holding. So I expect a lot of emergency authorizations to come out of that. And here we go with getting this thing out to everybody who wants it. So, and we'll see, there's going to be a whole bunch of legal drama on whether you can continue to go to work if you want somebody that has to go to others, or say you work at a hospital and you say, I'm not getting the vaccine, you might straight get bounced. I don't know how it's going to work, but more to follow in the mainstream media. We'll catch that. We're more concerned with the investing aspect of it. So let's talk about our mission objectives today. We're going to grow our money, protect our money, live off our money. Today, we're talking about growing our money through investing in vaccine type names. What I'm going to talk about specifically today are the bio names that are behind this. So the Pfizer, the BioNTech, Moderna are kind of the main three. You also have AstraZeneca. You have Gilead out there as well. And then what I find most attractive right now is the index fund. The index fund has kind of trailed because there's a lot of folks out there that have been trying hard that haven't come up with anything yet. That's the IBB. So we'll talk about that and look at that chart as well. Let's see, for our question of the day, what is a retail investor? I read quite a good piece last night about it's the retail folks, and there's some in the room this morning. So when I say retail folks, I'm talking about kind of the Robinhood crowd, or accounts that are below 100,000, kind of the, if you will, in the big picture of things, the smaller accounts out there. So not institutional money, not hedge funds, not big mutual funds, not even, I would say, small players like myself, throwing money around on a daily basis. But we're talking individual, phone-based punching keyboards and buying Palantir, right? Or buying whatever they saw either in an email news alert or the YouTuber that they follow for picking stocks. I guess that includes me now. But it's those folks that have basically bought the dip. And it was a projection on 2021 could be a very strong year because of the retail investor. And the retail investor doesn't like index funds, doesn't like mutual funds, doesn't want to pay fees. They want to buy individual stocks. It's kind of, to me, it's like the hallelujah moment, right? I've been preaching this for like 7 years, and now it's weird. I'm resonating with folks that are, a third my age, but they really are getting it about how efficient you can be when it comes to investing. Now, maybe they all get burned. Maybe there's a crash. Maybe they cause a crash. We don't know how the story plays out, but at least we're getting educated at a young age and getting involved, which I find personally awesome. So we'll talk about that towards the end. Flow, long, short, open, short, long. We'll do our market review. We'll take a look at the SPY, where we've been. We'll take a look at today's headlines. We'll talk about those 6 names that I already mentioned. We'll get into short-term execution and we'll move on to the question of the day. If you have any issues out there for tech support, reach out to Steve at ototnow.com and I will get those answered for you. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the market. Going over to ThinkPipes is where we'll go first. Quick setup. If you want to get set up for today, I do put them in the chat. I'll put them up here again when we get a break from me talking. So again, laser long, that's a continuation, LAZR. It's a great company that's out there. PLTR, Palantir, that's simply a continuation. It went down and bounced off of 2250, and it has really not come up for air. So 2 continuations. And then TRIL is Trillium Therapeutics, who's presenting at a conference today, and they were supposed to have something that they did not deliver on, so expecting that to sell off pretty hard. So that's our short of the day. All right, back to the long-term stuff. You're looking at the SPY chart as we look at every day. The low back in March, the nice climb going into election season where we flatlined, and then who'da thunk, right? So here's the election back in here ish, early November. And look at that move straight up from there. Now, you remember back a month ago when I was putting out the markets tend to go up 3% between the election and the end of the year, regardless of whether the incumbent or the challenger gets elected. And to a T, that's happened. It's probably even more than that. It's probably at 4, I don't know the exact numbers, but I would say probably closer to 4.5%. So we could straight line to the end of the year. December could be a nothing. So don't sweat it if we don't just continue raging higher here. It's actually a little more comfortable for health of the market if we don't rage higher here, right? It's kind of like this move in here, a couple months of just digestion, kind of reestablishing, and then you can move higher. So we'll see. New highs tend to beget new highs, so maybe we just continue to go higher, but don't worry if we don't. So don't try to read too much into it. All right, here's our last 5 days. You can see that we're a little bit negative going into the market this morning, but there's a lot of names that are up huge and hardly anything gapping down. So it's kind of a weird dynamic. So it's an overall, I think people are a little bit tentative, and then the market opens and it's just like, going higher. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out today. All right, and there's our day trading charts that we already took a look at. All right, let's go to CNBC. We'll take a look at the futures. Get these refreshed for you. All right, so down between 1/4 and 0.5% across the board. Surging COVID cases, that's going to pale in comparison to the headlines of the vaccine rollout and the argument of who's going to get it and when and all of that stuff. Look across Europe, in the red across the board. They are talking about Brexit, so you have the good news of the vaccine, but then you also have the Brexit discussion. Asia pretty much in the red. Here's our numbers from yesterday. Tech making a little bit of a comeback. If you've been a little bit peeved at your Apple holding, Apple woke up yesterday and went higher, kind of drug the entire index higher, and Tesla's going higher. So that's helping the NASDAQ. Again, that's going to switch Tesla over into the S&P here in a few weeks. And Tesla's in the news for their 5 billion, super greedy, 5 billion more stock out there into the float. It's just so ridiculous. I can't even talk about it. But let's see, talking about bonds, 0.91%. That's off a little bit from where we have been. Oil holding 45. That's fine. Precious metals, not really doing a whole lot. They're kind of out of the news, if you will. And then Bitcoin down below 19. So More on Bitcoin later this week. Okay, let's go back to our headlines. Probably the that there's 2 doses with the Pfizer vaccine. You have a dose, and I think it's 3 weeks later you have the second one. The first one you get some benefit, and there's very little side effects. The second one is that punch to the jaw, so get ready for it. So we'll see how it all kind of works out. Okay, here's that Tesla raise. So when somebody raises, so you guys understand this. So if everybody in the room here got together and we owned a company and we're like, we should raise some money, and we're already public, right? We've already IPO'd our stocks out there. We have all our shareholders, and we're making money. We are making money. The company's making money, and the shareholders, of course, get appreciation make their money through stock appreciation. And then we decide, our stock's pretty hot. Why don't we just issue $5 billion more of it? Well, when you throw $5 billion worth of stock out there, you're technically diluting every single person's shares that are out there. It's just a blatant money grab. It is blatant, not good. Anyway, it's second in 3 months. So, I mean, if this guy pictured here knows anything, it's how to make money. So, my capitalist in me says, good on me. The investor in me says, don't touch this thing, but we'll see. I've been wrong forever on it. So, all right. Apple's got a new product out. Woo, zoomed in on it. Over-ear headphones, basically a traditional headphone instead of the in-ear, which a lot of people didn't resonate with that, didn't like that. So they came out with a $550 over-the-ear. Here they're pictured here, the traditional headphones. So we're going like back in time. I don't know. I think these will there's some people that it bugs them being in their ear. So they wanted a soft noise canceling, but the competitors in this space are at about $350. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a stretch for Apple. Obviously, it will have the big Apple on the side, and there will be a status symbol. So when you're on the airplane, you can look cool for paying 3 times as much for your headphones than you did your airplane ticket. But, I don't know. I consider Apple stuff must have, and I'm not even excited about buying these. So we'll see. One data point. All right, let's see what else we've got. Yeah, there's some political stuff with Gottlieb talking this morning about the U.S. didn't buy as much vaccine as they could have at the beginning. So we'll see. That's political stuff. We don't really care. Okay, there is a significant concern. I don't think this will hit anybody who's got a trip anytime soon, i.e. me, and possibly one or at least one other in the room. But yeah, you may not be able to fly unless you've had your COVID test or your COVID vaccine at some point in time. These are tests, but right? So who knows what kind of protocols. Think after 9/11, how painful it was to do anything. I could see us just continuing to react and put protocols in place when the things actually when we're beating it, so we shall see. Okay. Apple's got a rival fitness service to Peloton. I'll have to read more about that. I like it. We'll see what it says later. Okay, let's talk specifically about our theme of the day. So do you want to put your money behind biotechs? I say yes. I do think if you're a conspiracy theorist at all, then you have to go by IBB. You just have to. You have to think that there's a Chinese major, and I mean literally a major in the U.S. in the Chinese army that is a master virus maker over there who could not only make this in a lab or did whatever. I'm not placing blame. I'm just saying that if your business was biological warfare, you should have probably 10 of these things under the hammer and ready to release upon the enemy. So I think we're naive if you don't think that's at least possible. And probably the U.S. government's doing the same thing. So don't act like holier than thou. But yeah, this could get ugly if we start releasing viruses on each other, especially if you can't really trace it back to the government. Kind of that in non-kinetic warfare stuff, which could be the wave of the future. We'll see. Cyber and bio, giddy up. Not saying it is. I'm just saying that if it is, that we're going to spend a lot of money on this stuff in the next decade or two, or until we have major theater war with the likely person who's doing this to us, or we're doing it to them. Anyway, so when you really take a look at these names, look at IBB. This has not run up a tremendous amount. At this point, I'm more inclined to take all of them instead of getting in there and getting specific. So that's just my take. check it out and make your own decision. All right, going over to look at the names individually. Pfizer has not run up all that much. It has lately, but it hasn't screamed higher, really like BNTX has. You know, that's been a straight line up from 20 back here to 125. So you can't touch BNTX here. Pfizer you could buy. They're also the generic drug maker too, not just coming up with bio names. But and then you have Moderna down here. It's kind of spiked as of late, so I really wouldn't touch it here either. Saw a new person just pop up, so there's our trades of the day, because I know that's what you're here for. AstraZeneca is a name we don't talk about a lot, but they have one that is trailing behind that's a vaccine as well. So I could see those, you know, as Pfizer and BioNTech and Moderna can't keep up with the demand. That's where all these other players are going to come screaming higher. Gilead has been literally left for dead, so it's more of a value play. You could hop in here, and then, like I said earlier, hey, just buy the fund. You know, put whatever your small position size is for your portfolio, and and go higher there. Oh man, so all right, Burner tried to get a trill rejected by the stock loan system. That's what TDA. If you're with Schwab, give it a shot. So I'll still call that short and try to get it myself, but we shall see. Okay, let's take a look at some of the short names. Let's look at that trill. First of all, even though you can't get it with TDA. So you have 80,000 shares. So I said a little bit low volume there. But it's going from 15 up here down to this 1435. And I think it's got further to fall. So pretty nice setup as far as the chart. Okay, switching to the longs. When you look at laser, which is our first out there, you've got it. It's been at 40. It's up at 45 right now. So this is kind of a continuation of, if you look at this chart a little further out, this thing's on fire. Remember, it was a SPAC, special purpose acquisition company, switched over to the LAZR, a cool ticker, and it's just ripping higher. I think people are buying it today. It's not a long-term investment at this price point. Let this thing peak, do a hammerhead back down, come back in like Palantir did, you know, sell off like a third, and then you can hop back, you know, catch it in for the long term next time. But there's no reason that this shouldn't just continue to go higher. What's also going higher, since we just mentioned it, is PLTR. So when you look at going out in time, or back in time, here's what I was talking about. Here's where I think LAZR is going. We're somewhere along this stretch. You never know for sure. It'll do this hammerhead stall from like 33 to 22, right? That's a 1/3 retracement. So let everybody do that and get punched in the face. And then somewhere in here, I tend to wait for things to bottom out before you go back higher. There's a couple of false bottoms along the way. So it's never going to be perfect, but don't buy laser and hold it here if it doesn't work. But this is coming back, and it's coming back hard. And I think it continues higher as well. As far as your headlines, continuation yesterday, we had this BFT. Our short worked yesterday. It turned out to be like a 6-hour trade. But this Foley acquisition thing also worked long, and it's continuing to work again today. So 8 million shares, closed at 12, up at 13. That's 11%. It's already up. We're not going to touch it, but it is screaming higher as well. And then the last one, Lee Automotive, is compelling here. It has sold off pretty hard. So if you look at the sell-off from 49 down to 30, that's that 1/3 retracement. So hopping in on Lee Automotive here is something to take a look at. Today, it would just best be for trading, but I'm also willing to look at it long term. Okay, let's go over to TD Ameritrade. We have 50 seconds to go, so I need to get my tickers set up. Kind of looks, Palantir's kind of bounced here. I'm trying to look. I have a TRIL set up for short. We'll see. I don't like that bounce in Palantir. I've had a bounce in a couple of these. So, all right, I'll just keep the short in there, and we'll see what we get. All right, welcome to the On Time On Target play of the day. We have 20 seconds to the open. You see 4 screens in front of you. This is on the TD Ameritrade ThinkPipes platform. On the left, you have the overall market. So we'll zoom in a little bit. This is a 1-minute chart. We have 2 longs represented by these 2 arrows here, which we're going to zoom in a little. LAZR is a continuation long, and PLTR is also a continuation long. And then there's our opening bell. We have trill short over here. We need to wait for a little bit of volume But I'm literally looking at Trill to the downside. Market's popping higher here, so we'll keep an eye on things. Let's see, for Trill, would really like a 20-cent downside. So that would make 14, the high of the day is 1440. So we'd really want to retrace it down here to PLTR is just screaming higher. We can't touch that. Maybe we get an entry on laser. We'll see. I do like that Trill's backing up here. Whew. Just watching PLTR screaming higher. Man, that's a nice move out of the market there. Not quite in the green yet. Well, let's take laser long. Let's take a look at, be a 50-cent stop. Probably need a $1 stop here, if you will. Oh, we're not going to get this either. It's moving around too much. Switch your tickers to laser though and see if it gives us an entry. Nah, we're out of the window. Not going to take that. All right. We'll watch PLTR for an entry. It's going to have to be a 30-cent stop. I'm considering taking it here at 31.10 or below, because it's not going lower. Let's take it at 31. So 31 if you can get the entry, or even better, let's go 30.90. 30.90 long. I draw in there, and I got to get over to my left hand. Get my order placed here. All right, 30.90 or better is your entry point. We're going to use a 50-cent stop. So I'm down here at 30.40 is my stop. So I'm already down. That's well below the low of the day. So if you get stopped out, you got to get ready to buy this back. Sorry, get ready to sell it. Misspoke. Yep, and I'm out. So got to get that entered here. So long, yep, below the bottom of the day, and back out for me. So -1R for me as far as the entry here. Man, that's pretty hard sale. So if you didn't take it or didn't get it, you could hop in here a little bit later and take it back long. But man, that was a pretty big move. So 31, all that's over $1 move down there. So it's continuing to sell off. That's almost like a news item. So let's check on another screen, PLTR, see what's popping up, if anything. 906 was the last news on it. So, all right. So PLTR did not work there. Man, that's just screaming down as much as it was screaming higher. And that's why you get out of those things. That's why you don't hold the trade and think it's going to switch around for you. So looking at my stats real quick. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 1.1R for me by the time the slippage of getting out there. Okay, so let's see. Have Trill's not working to the downside. Laser's not working to the upside. So it's like everything's in reverse here. Let's take a look at some other names. BFT was a continuation higher. That popped initially. It's been kind of selling off. I love this second entry here, but I'm not going to take it because I don't do that. If you were to take a second entry with a low of 29.10, you'd take it at 29.60. You'd take it at 29.55. So you'd take it here. So you can go down below to the 29.10. I'm not doing this, but if you wanted to take it. So you're covered all the way down. Your stop's down to 29.10. And then, of course, that's what a 45-cent stop. So I made the math hard for myself. So 30 would be your 1R point. 30.45 is your 2R point. And then 30.90 is your 3R point. So anyhow, that's how you would take it back to the upside if you're going to trade all day in that thing, which I'm not going to. But if you're anxious to make your money back, that would be the trade there. So get this drawn in, and then I will just go off to some other names. Nice move up in the market. I'm liking that. Let's see. Still not in the green yet overall. There you go. All right. All right. Get rid of that. BFT's working some other names. We talked about Lee Automotive. Let's see if that's going long. Yeah, it's going pretty well. Up about 8% or so. And then XPEV is another name that travels right along with it. So up 5% there. That's a beautiful entry for a long. Drops down here, 49.50. Wait for it to back up to about 49, maybe 50. Take it with the 50-cent stop and then let it run higher there. Okay, let's take a look at nothing in the chat yet. If you have something you want me to take a look at, please put it in there. Let's look at Pfizer, since it's a name we talked about. Pfizer up nicely today. The other one, we'll put Moderna over here, MRNA. Also up 5% today. Well, this one's up 5%. Let's see, BioNTech is BNTX. Up 3%. And then lastly, let's look at the index fund that I was talking about, IBB. Only up 0.4%. So again, this, you could buy it in this range. That's not a statistically significant move. So if you want exposure, biotech, you can pick up some IBB here. Again, I would hold it at least till June if you do that, just because you want to be able to get the full thesis, right? You want this COVID-19 to go away and we win, and see if what strains roll in behind it. Or if we have any problems with the vaccine driving more money flowing into, Operation Warp Speed 2 or something like that. So, all right, let's leave this and check out what names are in play. There's the laser that we talked about. Neo up. Palantir, we've been watching. We know about that. Hyliion's the old shell. Nikola, a lot of the EV names up today. IQ is up. Some of the Chinese names, Baba is right here as well. Those are names I like. SPNV, that's a name I haven't talked about in the room. So it's got the coolest SPAC name out there. It's called the Supernova. It's got an investor, which is I'm blanking on his name right now, but legendary investor type. He and Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman has his own, which is PSTH, Pershing Square Tontine Holdings. And then you have this guy with this Supernova fund. So anyhow, have a piece. You may see that showing up in your portfolio as well. We don't know how this SPAC thing is going to end. SPACs have gotten hot before, and they kind of crash when they run out of good companies to buy. So when you have like DoorDash and Airbnb IPOing this week, what's left for the SPACs to take over and do a direct listing in? So I don't know. I think money will follow. I don't think you're going to lose money in those things, but they may sit there and not do much of anything. I just saw a laser took off there. Laser's up over 10% now. All right, here's Luckin leading the charge to the downside, and Asana. LCA, again, that's supposed to be Golden Nugget Online Gaming. That got delayed. That's why it's selling off. There's that PSTH, which I was just talking about. DraftKings, Camping World, Northwest Bio. So a few names down. No real theme, if you will. Okay, we'll go back to the long side there, back to the trade. Yeah, this got up to the 2R point and it's kind of selling off. I still have to think PLTR marches higher today, but that's my take. All right, let's talk about the retail investor and come over here to the main screen. Share that out with you. Okay. So again, the retail investor is the individual investor, so non-professional. If it's been a while since you filled out a form to open, it's all online now. But if you go into, pick one, Vanguard.com, it's going to ask you, are you a professional or non-professional subscriber, right? Because there's different rules as far as the data that you can have. So I have to pay, I don't know, I pay a couple $100 a month or something to get real-time market data. As a professional, I can't just hop in and get whatever I don't even remember that the retail side gets, right? Because it's been 7 years now. So even if I have a retail account, I have to identify that I'm a professional investor. So I can't speed, if you will. So that's why they ask you those questions. Whenever you fill out these forms, there's several questions you have to lay. No, I don't own 10% of Tesla. No, I don't own Schwab. No, I don't own the company, right? It's like, so few of these people get tripped by these questions, but that's all SEC type stuff, if you will. So retail investors are out there, non-professional market participants, generally smaller amounts, but you wouldn't necessarily, you could have a multimillionaire retail investor that just does their own thing. And I'm sure there are, and I'm sure they're very talented folks. Most of those folks generally stand up like a trading site or a YouTube channel or something to capitalize on the knowledge that they've spent 30 years gaining, kind of like myself. And if people are interested, they'll subscribe. If not, then they're doing what they would be doing anyway, similar to what I'm doing each morning. Okay. There is criticism. They get a lot of heat. There used to be things called smart money and dumb money. I would actually contend that the retail investors actually as a whole smarter than the institutional, because institutional has to answer for a bunch of masters. So say you have a client that's got a couple $1 million portfolio and they're in retirement and they're living off their portfolio. You're not going to put them in, say the hottest stock out there is Laser, LAZR. You're not going to put them in that. You're not going to put them in PLTR. You're handcuffed from doing what you want to do to make the most money for people to what you should do as a prudent money manager for them to meet their objectives. So if somebody's got a couple $1 million and that will get them through the finish line and give them everything they want for their life, why, you can't at that point take risk to try to grow the 2 million into 10 million. If you do, you're being an idiot and you should be fired, right? Because they've already met their goals. So anyhow, you have to manage all that, which means you're doing things that aren't necessarily, always making the most money. Where a retail investor is generally looking to make the most money, right? It's like, I've got my pot, I'm actively involved and I want to grow it. And that's what I do with my own money. So take a lot of risk, and that's not right for everybody, but I take the risk and I hold it long enough to get paid. Like Palantir, which is up, 300% from the direct listing price of $10. Excuse me, it's up 200%. It's doubled and then went again from there. So that's what I have for you today. So thanks for listening in. Sorry the trade busted out. It's actually down below the second trade now. So it's actually in the red on the day for Palantir. So flopping all over the place. All right. So that's all I've got for today. We will catch you guys tomorrow morning on Wednesday. Talk to you soon.